Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and today I'm going to do a bit of, I think it's a vlog they call it. I'm catching up on it. But basically, this is going to go for our be all and end all playlist that we're starting, which is little hints and tricks that we've found over the years of meddling with Land Rovers and just being out in the bush and in remote areas. And today I'm going to talk about electrics in the bush. Now, many of you know I'm a little bit hesitant on electrics, and there's a good reason why. Every trip I go on, my electrics seem to fail. Now, the electrics have truly failed on this vehicle, and I'm not talking about vehicle electrics today. I'm talking about devices. I've been on a couple of trips, and my phone, when I've got to where I want to go and I've finally switched it on, it's died. It won't charge. It doesn't work. It's failed. Now, many of you will probably put comments down below and go, oh, you need to get a Samsung this or a 4G, XG that. Great, please leave it down below. If I'm doing it wrong, please tell me. But I'm a fan of the iPhone. It's whatever I got when I first decided to get a smartphone, which smartphones aren't that smart. They're only as smart as their owner. So mine's a dumb phone, maybe a little bit better on a good day. But the one thing I've found is batteries. When you're travelling in a desert environment, you really need to be careful of batteries. Now, obviously we did the Canning stock route in a 1975 Land Rover Series 3, so we didn't have such fandango things called air conditioning. We did have air conditioning, but it was called taking door tops off. And I actually put my iPhone in the dash, and I thought that's pretty well ventilated, that should be okay. But we were getting up to temperatures above sort of 40 degrees centigrade, so above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so getting quite hot. And by the time I actually got back to the real world and started going back to work, I found that my phone wouldn't actually keep charged for any more than an hour. And I looked into this and it was really interesting. The battery actually sweated. The battery actually sweated and it swelled, and the actual back of it ended up popping off of the phone. And I've had a chat to a few people about this scenario, and particularly with laptops. Laptops are one that you really have to be careful with. The reason why you have to be so careful with it is because it's amazing how much important and valuable information that we keep on these laptops and tablets. But if that battery fails and it doesn't work, if you're out in the bush and it can be as simple as spilling your morning coffee over it, you've lost it. You've literally lost all your information. So it's really, really important to keep these things cool, and it's the same with your laptop. So one of the things I'd recommend, and it's very similar to keeping your vegetables cool, is actually wrapping it up in your sleeping bag, or even keeping it buried amongst your clothes in your bag and keeping it away from the transmission or the exhaust system in your car. And hopefully, and I do hope and pray, that might save your battery for you. Another thing I'll talk about too is the actual lifespan of batteries. Now, a lot of people think that I've got a battery, it's meant to last an hour and a half. So no matter where I go, whether it's Mount Everest or the Amazon, the battery will last for an hour and a half. It won't. A battery relies on chemical reactions. So if you're in a cool environment, it will actually last a bit longer. Yes, it will. If it's extreme cold, then no, it won't. And if it's extreme hot environment, then it won't either. The reason being, if you're in an extreme cold environment, the battery itself is cold. It's not going to react. You haven't got enough heat to actually make the electrons between the two items, the two elements that you're trying to react with, to actually excite them enough to actually want to bond and actually mesh together. The same in a hot environment. There's too much heat and they react too quickly, and therefore the charge is actually lost. So instead of getting an hour and a half, you might find you only get 45 minutes. And that's really, really important. So you want to make sure you keep your batteries cool, and you want to make sure that you keep them out of the way of any excessive heat source in your vehicle. The other thing that you want to make sure of is that if you are taking radios, if you are taking anything that you're going to be relying on, that they actually have some form of a shockproof case. Now, I've taken portable hard drives away, I've taken disk drives away, and particularly I took a disk drive away on the last trip because I had a few pieces of information that were stored on CDs, and excessive corrugations actually rattled it to bits. It literally will not work now. And this was a good quality Sony product, so it actually literally shattered it to pieces. So make sure that it's actually wrapped up well, and you've got it wrapped up in your socks or wrapped up in your sleeping bag, just so it can't jutter around too much inside your bag. So that's another important little tip to have. Now, on a previous video, when I was on the Canning stock route, I talked about the importance of actually taking a hard copy workshop manual. And it was great. There was heaps of comments below. And I'm not going to name names because that's not what we do here, but someone did mention, oh, you should put it on a tablet. And if you've got it on a tablet, then you're all good. You know, you can charge it off your battery and that's very true. These tablets nowadays are fantastic. You can take 5 books. Instead of taking a big pile of books, you've got it right on your tablet. The problem is, though, as I've just touched on, if you drop that tablet, if you spill something on it, if it gets wet, if the battery actually swells up and breaks, and your car breaks down, you've got no way of accessing that information. So it's really important that any passes that you have to have, any documentation like carnets, for example, if you're travelling overseas and travelling in between countries, and also workshop manuals and first aid book, don't keep that on a tablet. Make sure you have a physical copy, because the one thing that can happen is you can crash it, drop it on the ground, and you can pick it up again. You can fold the page and it'll remember, and you'll be able to open up and start exactly where you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It's the best insurance policy you can have. Always take a hard copy. So great to take a digital copy, even better if you take a hard copy. So that's my little top tip today. If you have any more top tips and you want us to discuss any other particular subject areas, leave a comment below and we're more than willing to try and accommodate it. Okay, I'll catch you later on.